we've tried to capture a section of what's covered in PolyU. And none of these are a distance learning course. They're all meant to be integrated with teaching in various degrees, so none of them are really standalone applications. They're meant to be modelled by the teacher, talked about in class, some activity outside of class, and so on. So at an institutional level, one of the funded projects was the initiation of Second Life, to essentially explore, well, how can Second Life benefit teaching and learning at PolyU? I'll just take you to the website set up for this. So we have set up a website also with a collection of these as URLs. So feel no pressure to try and copy down. Some of the URLs are quite complicated, long I should say. So I started at this slide in particular to draw your attention to, if you're interested in using Second Life, which, if you're not aware, is a virtual world, free in some regard. You can sign up for free. And one of the things we developed was both a student handbook and a teaching guide. So you can download the teaching guide here as a resource. We've also tried to document a number of sort of things you can do. Wanted a very tool-based approach to start with, but equally as much then how they can be applied. Some ideas for classroom applications. To be brutally honest, the first time we used Second Life, it didn't go so well. Students were quite interested in their appearance in Second Life, more than their engagement with each other or some teaching and learning. So we had some lessons learned in terms of the evolution of this as a project. We've now been quite lucky in that there's probably 8 or 9 departments that are now actively using Second Life in their teaching, in terms of specific subjects and so on. So this is good in terms of the project. It was given some funding to start, but then it's becoming more widespread, more scalable. So this is sort of one of the institutional level ones. The next one is a free online site that helps students do argument mapping or critical thinking skills. This was developed by Andy Morrill in the English Language Centre. And the very interesting thing about this is, one, it enables students to sort of track arguments to and from. And I mean, a session is possible just on this software. Things to note without going into it in a lot more detail. One, it enables students to also sort of automatically create a PowerPoint presentation based on the level of arguments and interactions they've participated in, or equally as much structure an essay using some of the key points made within this argument mapping software. I'll just quickly show you a snapshot of what it looks like. So the first point is the one in bold, the starting point. And then you can easily add a point. And essentially the points that are rated more highly by the group of people participating in the forum bubble to the top in terms of the interface. They move, so they're more prominent in terms of the design. So at the moment, it's very interesting, sort of the twos and fros. Obviously the first point is the starting point, but then one in this orange colour is a negative and the other colour is a positive. So it's people sort of structuring these, and it gives guidelines for students on, well, how do you know or something is, for example, a valid internet site? Do you look for the authenticity of the author, how widely it's referenced by other authors, and so on. So as I mentioned, it's not possible to look at in detail in the time we have, but we will definitely pass on the URL to you. At a sort of more subject-based approach, this was a news blog set up by a teacher in the English Centre. The teaching challenge she was faced was, in the past, students were asked to create sort of a news article. So they dutifully handed in their written assignment. But this was essentially interaction between them and the teacher provides feedback and so on. She was also aware in terms of, PolyU has a mission to sort of make its programs practically orientated. So she's aware that students moving into this area of news writing probably will be asked to write something like a news blog. The sales of printed material worldwide are going down. This is widely researched. So what she decided to do was ask them to contribute to this news blog online, and then get other students to respond to the article the students were writing as a work in progress, to sort of give some feedback. Interestingly enough, she also asked students to try and capture some of, if they were having a group meeting, to try and capture this either as a written or image or video form. So some of them were using things like an iPhone or other smartphone to record a video of some of the key points from their group meeting and were posted in this blog. So it has evolved a lot since its initial sort of starting point. At a more sort of pragmatic level, students in nursing were asked or have an active sort of classroom participation within like a laboratory setting. And they sort of have to do an orientation to this sort of nursing space. Things to do with workplace health and safety and so on, but equally as much areas to do with sort of knowing where things are and how it relates to sort of the teaching of this subject. So what she found was a significant cohort of students would come to the space and it would be difficult. So they decided to put some orientation online for students, some quick time sort of movie of the space with sort of points highlighted so students could navigate around the virtual representation of the space and sort of involve in some activities to help them become more familiar with what was expected in terms of safety and how that integrated with the course through this orientation program. And also interesting, this was embedded in WebCT. The news blog and this scenario and actually the next few examples were integrated into the learning management system. So people have criticized WebCT for its user interface and its very linear approach to how it presents things. So you can sort of customize it with some degree of flexibility if you have some technical support.